I'm Kiwi,
And I'm Jarad.
and we are the two gentlemen coming to you from the danger zone.
Danger zone, very much so. Yeah.
Jarad, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. Good. Just getting over the Christmas ham and all the food that I've had. I don't think I need to eat for another for another week, but I probably will.
Yeah,
But what about yourself, mate?
yeah, same, man. I've eaten a lot lately. That's Christmas for you, though. I love this period of
Yeah.
time, and it's really nice.
Yeah, it is. It sort of, runs with our last episode of New Year's resolutions and stuff like that. There's a lot of fitness stuff involved
Yeah,
usually because
actually,
it's trying to knock out all the Christmas junk that we had that we'd only have once a year.
yeah, that's a good point. I need to do some squats.
Right now.
Yeah, but Jarad, the reason for my intro, coming to you from the danger zone, was that you mentioned that you wanted to talk about leaving your comfort zone. And for me, getting up there with a microphone, whether it was on stage or even on a podcast, is quite daunting. So I just want to ask you, what's it like for you leaving your comfort zone? When have you done it? And how are you going with it?
Yeah, look, this is one of them, as you just mentioned. It's pretty comfortable now, but the first few times it was pretty, not rough, but yeah, it's one of those things where you just like, am I doing what do I sound like? I mean, all that sort of stuff. And, the first time putting it all out there. But this podcast aside, I mean, I'm a pretty safe sort of person. So I rarely leave my comfort zone, which isn't always positive. It's, you need to explore things and you need to try new things and stuff like that. So it takes me personally, like my personality, I need to really make an effort to leave that comfort zone. And I see that in my eldest. She doesn't like leaving home. She likes to stay home, and whenever we're out, she's always asking when we're going home. And I think that's my it's some sort of genetic thing that I've given her, unfortunately. But yeah, it's a big deal when I leave my comfort zone. So yeah. What about yourself?
Yeah, look, I feel that I'm okay at it. I do recognize when I am comfortable and when I do need to get moving. There are times in my life where I feel like I've deliberately put myself in situations to be uncomfortable.
Yep.
For example, doing martial arts, there's a lot of times when you just can't hold back. You have to get out of your comfort zone, particularly sparring. It's very rare to meet someone who can spar without getting nervous at all. And when we had nights where it was pure sparring, you knew what you were there for. You'd go there, you'd warm up, and then you'd stand around as other guys fought, and then your name would get called out, and your heart kind of skips a beat. You swallow, and you're like, okay, and then you get in there. But it was really good for me, for my confidence overall. And just there's a saying, train hard, fight easy. And I feel like that's a good way for life with martial arts. Martial arts is kind of like this little way of drilling it into your body, that discomfort, that heart rate raising, the breath quickening as well. And I do that with my eldest son. We do drills in the garage where, his heart rate will increase, and I'll just tell him, just focus on your breath. Just close your eyes, just focus on your breath. We've done verbal sparring where he'll get to that point where, I try to stand over the top of him, which I can't really do anymore because he's almost as tall as me. And I try to put pressure on him. And I just say, just no matter what I say, no matter what I do, just focus on your breath. It's just your nose. Just breathe in through your nose and breathe out slowly. So that's been really good. But what about in terms of other parts of your life, Jarad, where you can't really control it? Have you felt that you've ever been taken out of your comfort zone?
There'd be times where I can just think back. There's work situations where you're out of your comfort zone. We all do a job and get paid to do what we do, and there's times where you're like, well, if I was making this decision, I wouldn't be doing it this way or whatever. And doing that, like, I find when you're doing something for somebody that they're like, oh, you need to do it this way, that's out of my comfort zone because I would do it a different way, So not just work, but just in general, like I mow the lawn this way. I do the edges first and I cut the lawn. Like some people do the lawn and then the edges, but, trivial things. But it's just, like if I did the opposite way around, it's just weird. Or if I put the wrong shoe on the different side of my foot, like when you really think about it, it's we're all creatures of habit. And, like I'm just going back to what you said with martial arts. I mean, that as a sport, you're not designed to be comfortable. Like you're going against somebody, sparring. So it just brought back a memory back when I was younger, and we were at training we're packing scrum. So anyone doesn't really know what scrum is, it's kind of like 8 people versus pushing against another pack of 8 humans. So it's not necessarily that comfortable. And the position I played was the front, where you'd be hitting the other guy. And I remember one guy next to me, he's like, in my team, he's like, this isn't a very comfortable situation. I'm like, well, get used to it, mate. It's about to get worse when you've got opposing teams. Like it just made me laugh. Like that guy probably really didn't like to be uncomfortable as well. So he was definitely out of his comfort zone. But yeah, like I think in sport it's different. I think for me, that's the goal. So I suppose it's just changing your mindset that life, you've got to reach a goal sometimes, and you've got to do things that aren't, comfortable.
Yeah. If you can take that mindset from the field into everyday life, then that would be really helpful, wouldn't it?
Yeah. And there's people that are really, really good at, and I say good, but there are people that are able to do that. And sometimes to the detriment, or not detriment, but sometimes on the other end of the scale where they're that, focused on, themselves or coming out of their comfort, they forget, that, they've got friends or family or, work colleagues or whatever. It's sort of like, it's an interesting sort of balance you've got to put out there.
Yeah. We've said that a lot actually in this show. It's all about balance.
Yeah, I think it's a common theme, isn't it? I think it's all about sitting on the fence, really.
Jarad, I want to go back to something you said earlier. You said, but you have to get out of your comfort zone. Why is that? Why do you have to get out of your comfort zone? Can't a person just float through life and not ever be challenged?
I don't have a long answer for that, but I'm going to say I don't think you can, because of all the different personalities and all the different things. I mean, when you drive a car, your comfort zone is to have your hands on 10 to 2 on the steering wheel. You put the car into drive, or whatever, and you just cruise along with, whatever radio station you want to listen to. But things change, like you got to slam on the brakes at some time. You've got to swerve to miss something. Sometimes you've got to, so that happens in life as well. Sometimes you've got to adjust, and, it's not always in your comfort zone, but it's about being able to adjust, I think.
But could you live a life, and I'm just playing devil's advocate here.
Yeah.
Could you live a life where you just seek out comfort all the time? Instead of being challenged, you just choose the easiest course. You choose the easiest job that you can do naturally because that's what you're built for. You choose a partner that doesn't challenge you. You choose a career that's, you don't even go for a career progression. You just, do something where you can just show up essentially and just phone it in every day. What's wrong with that?
I wouldn't say nothing's wrong with that to a certain degree, but actually, no, I'll take that back. I just think that, I personally think that's unrealistic. You can strive for that. Please don't think that I think that, it's all airy fairy or something, but I think you could strive for that, but there's going to be moments where you just can't help. It's out of your control. So, like if you want to control your life that much, go for it. But I think your reaction to when something is outside the box, like if you lose your mind because somebody has changed, moved your parking space or something like that, and you've had to go and drive 3 spots further down or something like that. Like, you get what I'm trying to say? Like, I think it's yes, you can strive for it, but I suppose it's kind of a bit of a, I don't know, does it leave you just cruising through life? I don't know. Like, jury's out for me. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm just wondering, do you have to challenge yourself? I mean, I know where I stand on this for me personally, but I don't feel like I can go around telling other people, no, you've got to get out of your comfort zone. You've got to push yourself.
No.
If you're uncomfortable, do it.
Yeah.
I get that you have to do it in an emergency situation. For example, someone pulls a knife on you. That's, well, you're just going to have to turn it on at some point, go into beast mode. But everyday life, what's wrong with just coasting through?
Well, I think probably 95% of the time, and I just pulled that number out on the backside, but we do coast through, but because we get better, as you said previously, we just get better at living life. Yeah. Like we've done it before, and we've woken up to a day like this before, and we've gone, okay, it's going to be hot today, so I'll wear a t-shirt. And, when we're kids, we put a jumper on, like, because it was, because it's cloudy or something, but like, to me, it's just experience and being able to know, how to react and not, like you said, you can go into that sort of mode and react to it. But yeah, look, a lot of the times we are coasting, I must admit. And I suppose that's why it's such a big deal when someone does go, I'm going to do something different today, and whether that be pick up go buy a treadmill and go for a run, or pick up some weights and do some exercise, or, start eating differently. That's probably why it's such a big deal.
Yeah. Can you think of a specific moment in your life where you were really taken out of your comfort zone and challenged? And I'm not talking about on the field, because like you said, that's not real life anyway. I'm talking outside of that. Did you find a time that came along where you were really, really pushed?
For me, it's, it's not a physical thing. Like, I feel comfortable physically. It's a mental thing. It's a emotional thing, I guess, when you're doing I'm not going to go too far into it, but I know there's times in my previous jobs where I just was out of my comfort zone. I was put in places that I didn't want to be in. And it wasn't it wasn't against any rules or anything. It was literally, I had to do this for my job.
Yeah. And,
I had to go into that location, or I had to go, and it wasn't dangerous. I'm not sort of saying that. It's just, I prefer not to be in there, I'm just trying to think of the right words of trying to explain it, but without sort of giving away too much. But it's essentially, I didn't want to be in that location. For my personal reasons, I just didn't. Yeah, and having to do that for money, like, essentially, like, and I not really having a choice. Like, it was like, oh, well, you're rostered on, so you've got to go. And I'm sure there's like a lot of people who work in all sorts of places and for all sorts of services that have to do things that they don't want to do. And I'm not sitting here, saying, woe is me, but that was my time, that was my time where I was uncomfortable, and it's how you deal with that. I mean, imagine being a, police officer and having to go into a place where, someone's armed, or, some serious situations going on. I mean, they're trained, but surely as human beings, I mean, I know if I get trained in something, if I don't do it straight away, it doesn't sink in as much, like, so you can be trained in a hostage situation or, whatever as a police officer, but then 6 years later, you're like, oh, what did I do when I was at training? Like, it's, there's a lot of people that get out of their comfort zones for work. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess they choose those jobs because they are well trained in it, or that's part of them. They're up for that sort of thing.
Personality, maybe the right personality for that. Yeah. I mean,
they relish that sort of thing.
Like, I know, I when I was younger, I went for I thought I wanted a particular career, and I look back, I'm glad I didn't. But I did the psychological test for it, and it came back that you were too young and too nice.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
So it actually did. Like, back then, I was like, "What? I wanted this job," like.
Oh, wow. Okay. But, are you allowed to tell us what the job was?
I was just in the correctional facilities, so okay. I never got a job or anything. I just thought, I could do something like it really interests me. The whole, I'm actually interested in the psychology of, uh, people that have taken the wrong decision at times and they've ended up in prison. And that doesn't scare, that interests me, like
Yeah.
if I can help in any way. But yeah, like when I was younger, I thought, well, the path to get there is to, go into a particular job there. And yeah, like I said, I did the psych and I just said, no, sorry, bye.
Yeah. Right.
Too young and too nice, too inexperienced, and that sort of answer. So look, in looking back, it's probably, I'm glad, but I was only really young. So
Yeah, and you had no tattoos, so
no,
they're not going to let you in.
No, I didn't. I suppose, yeah, I could have done that. That would have helped. What about yourself, Matt? You say, like again, like, is there anything that you do currently doing, or I mean, it's a funny question because I suppose when you first did it, like maybe when you first stopped eating meat or stopped, became vegan, like, was that out of your comfort zone? Or was that a natural thing? I mean, now it's natural for you, but there would have been a first step at some, early on.
Yeah, I think just learning about new things, opening up my mind definitely takes me out of my comfort zone. I came up with every argument I could against going vegetarian, including economic ones for the greater good of the economy. But if I don't eat cows, then all these farmers won't have jobs. So right. You're right. That's a really good point, Jared. I never thought of that there was any sort of discomfort in making a lifestyle change, but definitely there was. What does come to mind most was when I was quite young, I went to Egypt, and it was one of my life goals. I studied ancient history at school, and I just wanted to see the pyramids. So for me, going there was really, really confronting. I went by myself, and strange place, strange sounds, strange smells, different culture. It was during Ramadan as well, so things were open at odd times. And when I got there, I thought, what have I done? Like, honestly, I was really homesick. But I pushed through, and my sister had been there herself. And back then, there was just email when you went to a cafe. It was an internet cafe. There weren't, we didn't have phones or anything where you could just jump on, and chat with someone. So I emailed her. She'd been there, and she just said, look, once you leave Cairo, you'll be okay. It's a lot quieter. And it really helped that I met some really nice tourists. I met some nice locals as well who really were kind to me. I bumped into a guy. Cairo was a city of 20 million people at the time, and I left Cairo, came back, and then bumped into the same guy, which was really cool. He was really friendly, so that was nice. So that was one of the biggest moments of my life in terms of getting out of my comfort zone. And then, sorry, go on.
No, I was just going to say, just traveling is that, isn't it? Like, I mean, doing it on your own, and I've known people that have traveled, and they it's almost addictive too. Some people love to be out of their comfort zone, really, like by traveling. Like, it's just anyway. Yeah, sorry, interrupt.
But yeah, after that, when I decided my life goal was to become a writer of some sort, whether it was a filmmaker, screenwriter, or a novelist, I just went on this path, and that was a really big step. To take that first step was so scary. To say, yep, I'm going to give it a go, because you're really setting yourself up for failure. There's no, degree I can do that guarantees me a job as a writer at the end of it. If you want to be work in finance, you go get a degree in finance or business or commerce, you get a grad role, you work your way up as an intern or whatever it is, and you get a job. Done. You've got experience. To say, I'm going to write something groundbreaking and introduce people to all these new ideas, etc., it's really hard, and my life could end up being nothing. It really could. You could. It's like saying, I want to win Wimbledon, and your highest ranking ever is like 100, and you tried your best, and that's as good as you got. You happen to play in the same era as Novak and Federer and Nadal. And you're like, you would have been good enough 10 years ago. So like there's a lot of discomfort in the career I've chosen. The fact that I don't even have a career in it says it all. But you know what? It's been really rewarding just knowing that, hey, you know what? I had the guts to do it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to die wondering.
Yeah. And that's right. And it does make you think, like I just thought then I was, you know, once you're striving for something, being out of your comfort zone doesn't actually, you don't notice it as much anymore because you're actually striving for that goal. So I just remembered back when I used to do a bit more paranormal investigating with a particular person. His thirst for knowledge, because he was sort of like a filmmaker, or he is a filmmaker. Sorry, I shouldn't say sort of filmmaker. Really, really intelligent sort of filmmaker, and no matter what happened, even if it was the scariest thing you could ever think of, he'd run towards it because he just want to know what it was and capture it. You know, like I'm there behind him going, you sure you want to go down that hall?
Yeah.
There was there was a blood curdling scream down there, but sure, let's chase it, just in case it was a possum.
Yeah.
But it just reminded, if you've got a goal, then getting out of your comfort zone. He even said to me, once, I speak to him, via Facebook now, Messenger now, every now and then, and he's actually listened to the show and likes the show, so hello. But he always said, I didn't realize I was going down that hallway because I was blind to it, because I just wanted to find, I wanted to make this film, or I wanted to do this, produce this, whatever I needed to get. Didn't bother me that I was running towards where everyone else would run away from. So interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. When you've got that end goal, the end justifies the means, as they say.
Yeah. And the comfort zone isn't there. Like you're already out of it anyway, I guess. But yeah.
Look, I guess the whole fear of leaving your comfort zone is the fact that there's a chance of something bad happening. In the case of, for example, the hostage situation, it's death or serious injury.
Yes.
But for the rest of us, where it's not death, it's something similar in that it's rejection, isn't it? I mean, going up to that girl that you're interested in and telling her how you feel, that's, I don't know how many guys are good at that, but that's hard, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think definitely getting out of your comfort zone.
You guys says they're good at it, they're probably like they would have had to start somewhere. Like they might be better at it now. Again, experience, but it's hard. It's hard. That rejection is tough.
And I guess that's what it comes down to, what we're afraid of. I mean, other than the big things like death, it's failure and rejection. I mean, there's no reason why you wouldn't want to try to write a book. I mean, it is hard to sit down and find time. I mean, that's what I'm really good at, being able to sit down, because I know people way smarter than me who've read every book under the sun, but they just haven't started because, as one of my friends once told me, she said, there's always something else to do. I'll go and do the dishes or something when I've got an idea. Yeah. It's like you're distracting yourself. And some people even self-sabotage so that they don't have to get to the point where they fail. Whereas for me, it's just been one failure after another. So I'm all right with it.
Experienced at it.
Exactly. I'm numb.
But yeah, you're right. I mean, it's making time. That's the biggest excuse really, isn't it? Like people say, oh, I'll do that after I do that. And, it's that after I'll do that never comes, because there's always something else to pick up, so deep down it might be an excuse, that the fear of, like you might be tough on yourself. So, producing work, for example, like you're saying, producing writing, you might reject it yourself, and then it's like, wow, like I've just or I've failed. And if you're tough on yourself, that can probably be, pretty hard to get out of your comfort zone as well. Like you've got to be able to take the losses as well as the wins. I guess that's what I'm trying to get at, I guess.
Yeah, and it's a lot of losses, but when you finally get that breakthrough, it's so rewarding. I'm sure hasn't happened for me yet, but for the people who it has happened for, you think, well, they were failures until they weren't. And quite often, that band that you like, or that movie star, or the writer you like, it's quite often just one piece of work that they made that was really good. The rest was just okay, but that one major work carried them through, and that's what made their name.
Well, it's funny. I was just watching a documentary last night on Mick Foley, wrestler, WWE wrestler. Was but not everyone would know. But he's a very intelligent guy for the amount of hits he's copped in the head. So if he didn't cop it, he'd be probably saving the world. But he said at the end of it, he goes, people like me don't make it until we do, and it's like, it shows that, like he would have failed and failed and failed and failed. And then he made it. Like,
Yep.
and he's like, oh, we don't make it until we actually make it, until we do. And it's like, oh, wow, he's here, like he's not there, he never was, he didn't have the physique or the, he's actually, pretty, not even, he's quite, overweight and, could hardly move and whatever, but he forged himself a career and probably paying for it now. But, like that just reminded me of that comment. People like us don't make it till we do.
Yeah. Now, Jarad, just going back to something we spoke about at the beginning is why should you get out of your comfort zone? The reason why I've pushed myself and in ways that I, certainly didn't need to, and there was no incentive for me to do so. It would have been much better for me to just take a normal path through life and just be a regular guy making good money. And, we've even had an episode where you asked me, how did you end up where you are? Yeah. Basically. But it's growth. That's the answer. The harder the challenge, the bigger the growth. That's how it's always been for everything. And if you don't, when you sharpen a knife, you don't rub it against a piece of silk. You rub it up against something really abrasive, some sort of stone.
Change. Yeah.
Exactly. So for me, I guess subconsciously, I was trying to grow. I was trying to find the path that would give me the best mind that I could possibly get. And I think I said to you that, when I wrote my book, it took me 4 years or something. And I don't believe that there's a degree in the world that could guarantee the growth that I got from writing that book. So I feel very grateful for what I've done. Sure, it hasn't rewarded me materially, but that's okay. I feel like I've become the best version of me that I can become through taking the path that I have. And I guess that's the purpose of leaving your comfort zone. It's to grow in a way that you wouldn't otherwise grow.
Yeah, I agree. It's important that you have that self, not worth, but yeah, you have that sort of, that you're able to grow with it. And you don't, like you said, you can go to an institution or you can do courses or you can do things and, it's all designed to be at a particular level, but we're all individuals. So for you to get to that level takes, you might not even want to be on that level. You might want to be on like a parallel level, parallel universe level. Like it's all personal, and the growth that you've received from doing what you've done is yours and yours alone, and it makes you feel good, and that's a good reason to get out of the comfort zone, as far as I'm concerned.
Thanks, Jarad. Now, what would you say to one of our listeners if they were considering making some sort of leap? Is there any sort of encouragement you would give them or any discouragement even?
I would say on the spot, I'll probably think of something really much better once we finish this. But on the spot, I would say make sure you don't ignore other things in your life. So, take that leap, but maybe take a couple of steps forward with other things in your life as well, because I know that, things you might want to be like, okay, you might want to do something in sport, for example, but, keep the education up or don't neglect, family or friends because of it, because, like that will make, if you don't succeed, and then you do neglect friends and family or education or whatever, work, then that will make that I don't want to use the word failure is wrong, but that will make that I'm going to use failure because I can't think of the word. That will make that failure worse because you won't be able to then it's like, oh, where'd my friends go? Or geez, I just didn't get that promotion at work, or it just sort of like balance it all out, because go for it, but just be balanced with it. Yeah.
That's a good approach.
That was quite a ramble.
No, but I understand what you're saying. To chase your dream, the way I look at it is, have your head in the clouds, but your feet on the ground.
Yeah. I have this way of just making my rambles sound normal. And then I think I'm smart and,
I understand exactly what you're saying, Jarad. It made total sense.
Right. Well, that's good. That's why we're a good partnership.
But it was very good advice to be balanced in your approach to something. Go with your
Yeah.
passion, but just make
Yeah.
sure you're grounded at the same time.
Like I said, I'm going to think of something really awesome once we finish this, but sorry. What about yourself? You got anything, or you happy to ride my wave there?
Look, I like your wave. I'll just add that just understand what it is you're actually afraid of. Understand why you're uncomfortable. You know, if you're worried about your ego being bruised, well, you'll get over it. You know, if that girl says no or guy says no, that's okay. If you don't get that job, that's okay. You know, don't attach that to your self-worth. That's all I can say. But yeah, have a go. And it's definitely worth it. And you'll become bigger and better afterwards.
Yeah, I'm saying have a go as well, but just be balanced. Just so in case you forgot. So we're all here. Have a go. All of us. Both of us are telling you to have a go.
All right, Jarad. Well, thank you for starting this podcast and taking me out of my comfort zone. I really appreciate that, buddy.
Well, that's okay. And thank you for being really intelligent and super easy to talk to. And yeah, I'm now in my comfort zone, but I was at the start. I was out of it.
Same here. All right. Thanks so much, Jarad.
Thank you, buddy. Bye.